For decades, the world believed it knew everything about Elvis Presley. The voice, the hips, the white jumpsuits, the screaming crowds. The king of rock and roll who seemed larger than life. But inside the gates of Graceland, things were different. Elvis Presley wasn't just a legend. He was a father. Complicated man. A man who carried pain long before the fame ever arrived. And for years, the truth about that pain stayed locked behind closed doors. His daughter, Marie Presley, grew up in the middle of that world. She wasn't just the daughter of a superstar. She was a little girl watching her father struggle in ways the public never saw. For most of her life, Marie protected him. She defended him. She kept quiet about what really happened in those final years. But before she died, she finally spoke openly. She talked about the loneliness, the pills, the mood swings, the fear. She talked about what it felt like to be a child in a house filled with fame, money, and silence. She spoke about the night her father died and the memory that never left her. To understand what she revealed, you have to go back to the beginning. Back before the jumpsuits. Before the gold records. Before the world ever heard his name. Because Elvis Presley didn't start out as the king. He started out as a poor boy in Mississippi, holding onto his mother and dreaming about something bigger than the life he was born into. And that's where this story really begins. Elvis Presley was born on January 8, 1935, in a tiny two-room house in Tupelo, Mississippi. The house was small, simple, and built by his father, Vernon Presley, with help from neighbors. It cost around $180 to build. That's how little money they had. He was born a twin. His brother, Jesse Garon Presley, was stillborn. Elvis grew up knowing he had lost a twin at birth. That fact stayed with him his whole life. Some people close to him later said he always felt like he was meant to carry two lives inside one body. His family was poor. Not just, we don't have much poor. Real poverty. Vernon struggled to keep steady work. At one point, he went to jail for altering a check. That left Elvis's mother, Gladys Presley, alone and embarrassed in their small town. The family relied on neighbors and church for support. Gladys and Elvis were extremely close. Almost inseparable. She was protective, loving, and sometimes overprotective. Elvis adored her. He slept in the same bed with his parents for years because there wasn't enough space. That kind of closeness created a bond that would shape him forever. They attended church regularly. The Assembly of God Church became one of the biggest influences in his early life. That's where he first heard gospel music. The powerful singing. The emotion. The rhythm. It moved him deeply. He didn't just listen. He felt it in his body. As a child, Elvis was quiet, shy. He kept to himself. Other kids sometimes teased him because he was different. He didn't play sports much. He liked music. He liked sitting alone with his thoughts. In the South during the 1940s, that made him stand out. When he was about 11 years old, he wanted a bicycle for his birthday. His mother couldn't afford it. Instead, she bought him a cheap guitar from a local hardware store. At first, he wasn't thrilled. But that guitar changed everything. He started teaching himself basic chords. He listened to country music on the radio. He listened to blues music drifting through neighborhoods. Tupelo was segregated, but music crossed those invisible lines. Elvis heard sounds that many white kids in his community ignored. He paid attention. He would sit on the porch and practice. Slowly, he got better. Music became his escape. When life felt small, music felt big. In 1948, when Elvis was 13, the family moved to Memphis, Tennessee. They were looking for better opportunities. Memphis was bigger, louder, and full of music. It exposed him to Beale Street, where blues musicians played in clubs. Even if he wasn't always allowed inside, he listened. He watched. He absorbed. In high school, he didn't look like a future star. He was skinny. He wore loud clothes. He styled his hair differently. Some classmates laughed at him. But he had something. A presence. When he sang in front of people, they stopped laughing. There's a story from his high school talent show. He sang, "Till I Waltz Again with You." The reaction surprised everyone. The girls screamed. The boys stared. Something shifted that day. Elvis realized music could change the way people saw him. But even then, life wasn't easy. After graduating in 1953, he worked regular jobs. He drove a truck. He tried to help his family financially. Fame wasn't guaranteed. It wasn't even likely. One day, he walked into Sun's studio in Memphis to record a song as a gift for his mother. It cost a few dollars. He didn't walk in saying, "I'm going to be famous." He just wanted to hear his voice on a record. The studio owner, Sam Phillips, noticed something about him. Not immediately. Not in a lightning bolt moment. But there was something raw there. Something different. Still, success didn't happen overnight. He auditioned for groups and was told he wasn't good enough. One band leader even told him to go back to driving trucks. But he didn't quit. Behind the scenes, Elvis was still that shy kid from Tupelo. Still deeply attached to his mother. Still insecure. He worried constantly about failing. He worried about money. He worried about being laughed at again. What the world would later see as confidence started as fear. He wasn't born a king. He was a poor southern boy who felt like he didn't belong anywhere. And that feeling, that deep insecurity, would follow him long after the fame arrived. In 1954, everything started to move fast. Elvis went back to Sun's studio in Memphis. Sam Phillips paired him with guitarist Scotty Moore and bassist Bill Black. They were just trying things out. Nothing felt special at first. Long, awkward sessions. A lot of stopping and starting. Then one night, during a break, Elvis started messing around with a blues song called "That's All Right." He sped it up. He moved differently. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was just feeling it. Scotty and Bill jumped in. Sam Phillips heard it and told them to do it again. That recording changed Elvis's life. A local radio station played the song. Phones lit up. People kept asking, "Who is that?" They thought he sounded black. When they realized he was a white kid from Tupelo, it shocked a lot of listeners. Within months, Elvis became a regional star. Girls screamed at shows. His body moved in a way people weren't used to seeing on stage. The hips, the legs shaking. Parents were uncomfortable. Teenagers loved it. By 1956, he was everywhere. He signed with RCA Records. Heartbreak Hotel exploded nationwide. It went to #1. He appeared on national television, including The Ed Sullivan Show. Millions of people watched him. The camera sometimes filmed him only from the waist up because adults thought his dancing was too suggestive. That only made teenagers more curious. Fame hit like a storm. He bought his parents a house. Later, he bought Graceland. He wore flashy clothes. He dyed his hair darker. He became Elvis the Entertainer, not just Elvis from Memphis. But behind the scenes, something else was forming. Colonel Tom Parker, his manager, took tight control of his career. Parker handled contracts, appearances, money. Elvis trusted him. Maybe too much. Parker wasn't from the South. He wasn't family. But he acted like he knew what was best. Schedules got packed. Tours. Interviews. Studio sessions. Elvis barely had time to think. He missed home. He missed normal life. But there was no going back. Then, in 1958, the U.S. Army drafted him. Some thought his career would collapse. Instead, he served in Germany and gained even more respect. It made him look responsible, mature. But something happened during that time that hurt him deeply. His mother, Gladys, became sick while he was in the army. She had struggled with health issues for years. Elvis rushed home on emergency leave. She died in August 1958. He was devastated. People close to him said he cried uncontrollably. He blamed himself for not being there. The one person who made him feel safe was gone. From that point on, many say Elvis was never the same. When he returned from the army in 1960, the music world had shifted slightly. But he was still a huge name. Hollywood came calling. And that's when the next phase began. In the early 1960s, Elvis moved into movies. First, it seemed exciting. Big studio films. Soundtracks. clean-cut romantic roles. The image shifted from rebellious rock star to charming leading man. His first few movies did well. Fans packed theaters. The songs sold. But the pattern became repetitive. Same kind of plot. Elvis plays a good-looking guy who sings, falls in love, solves a light problem, roll credits. Over and over again. He didn't always complain publicly, but privately he felt stuck. He wanted to act seriously. He wanted to grow as an artist. But Colonel Parker pushed what made quick money. The movies became more about profit than passion. During this time, Elvis also started taking prescription pills more regularly. At first, it was common in Hollywood. Pills to sleep, pills to wake up, pills to calm nerves. Doctors handed them out easily. It didn't seem dangerous in the beginning. In 1967, he married Priscilla Beaulieu. They had met years earlier when he was stationed in Germany and she was just a teenager. Their relationship had grown over time. In 1968, their daughter Lisa Marie Presley was born. For a moment, it looked like stability. But cracks were already there. Elvis felt controlled by his manager. He felt boxed in by movie contracts. The music that once excited him had been watered down into soundtrack filler. Then came the 1968 TV special, later known as the Comeback Special. Dressed in black leather, sitting with musicians, stripped-down sound. No movie gimmicks, just music. It reminded people who he really was. The response was electric. For the first time in years, Elvis looked alive on stage again. After that, he returned to live performances, especially in Las Vegas. The energy was real. The crowds were intense. But the pressure was building too. His marriage to Priscilla began falling apart. Long absences. Affairs on both sides. Emotional distance. They separated in 1972 and divorced in 1973. Behind the scenes, his pill use increased. He had doctors who gave him what he wanted. Some people around him were too afraid, or too dependent on his money, to say no. He gained weight. His moods shifted more dramatically. He could be generous one minute and distant the next. The world still saw the jumpsuits and the bright lights. Lisa Marie saw something else. Lisa Marie Presley was born into fame in 1968. To the world, she was Elvis's only child. The Princess of Graceland. To him, she was everything. People who visited Graceland during her early years said Elvis lit up around her. He carried her. He let her sit on his lap during rehearsals. He bought her ponies, toys, even small cars to drive around the property. He could be playful and gentle with her. He called her pet names. He told her he loved her constantly. Graceland felt magical on the outside. The gates. The rooms. The music playing late at night. Friends coming and going. But Lisa Marie later described it as complicated. There were nights when the house felt loud and exciting. And there were nights when it felt heavy and quiet. She saw her father take pills. At first, she didn't understand what they were. She just knew there were always bottles around. Doctors came and went. She saw him tired. Really tired. Sometimes he would sleep during the day and be awake all night. She also saw arguments. Tension between adults. The stress of tours. The constant people around him. Bodyguards, friends, employees, who depended on him. Lisa Marie once said she felt very protective of her father, even as a child. She could sense when something wasn't right. After her parents divorced, she split time between her mother and Graceland. When she was with Elvis, she stayed up late with him. Sometimes she rode golf carts around the property at midnight. But she also remembered feeling scared. She later admitted there were moments when she found him unconscious or hard to wake up. As a little girl, that confusion stayed with her. To the public, Elvis Presley was powerful. To Lisa Marie, he was fragile. She loved him deeply. But she also saw him falling apart slowly, piece by piece. And by the mid-1970s, the decline was becoming impossible to hide. By the mid-1970s, the changes were impossible to ignore. Elvis was still selling out shows in Las Vegas. He was still wearing the white jumpsuits. The crowd still screamed. But up close, something was different. His body was changing. He gained weight. His face looked swollen at times. His energy on stage went up and down. Some nights he was sharp and powerful. Other nights he seemed slow, tired, even confused. The prescription pills had become a daily routine. It started years earlier with something small, something normal for entertainers at the time. A pill to help him sleep after late-night shows. A pill to wake him up before rehearsal. Something for pain. Something for nerves. Over time, the list got longer. Doctors around him kept writing prescriptions. Some of them later admitted they gave him what he asked for. He trusted doctors. If it came in a bottle from a pharmacy, he believed it was safe. But the mix of drugs in his system became dangerous. Lisa Marie was still just a child, but she noticed things. She saw bottles around the house. She saw him nod off in the middle of conversations. She saw the mood swings. Some days he was funny and generous, giving gifts to friends and strangers. Other days he stayed in his room for hours. Curtains closed. Lights low. The house that once felt exciting started to feel tense. He didn't like being alone, but he also pushed people away. He surrounded himself with friends and employees, often called the Memphis Mafia, but very few challenged him. Most depended on him financially. Saying no wasn't easy. His marriage to Priscilla was over. He dated other women, sometimes seriously, sometimes casually. But there was always a restlessness in him. He searched for something, peace, maybe, but it didn't seem to last. Financial pressure was also building. Even though he made millions, he spent millions. Jets, jewelry, gifts, cars. Colonel Parker's contracts were expensive. Tour schedules were intense because touring brought in quick money. Elvis kept performing, but his health was declining. He suffered from high blood pressure, digestive issues, severe constipation, insomnia. Doctors later said his body was under constant stress from the drugs. Lisa Marie later spoke about seeing her father during this time and feeling confused. She knew something wasn't right, but she didn't fully understand what addiction meant. She just knew her dad didn't always look okay. And then came August 1977. August 16th, 1977. Graceland was quiet that morning. Elvis had been preparing for another tour. He stayed up late the night before, as he often did. Lisa Marie was there at Graceland that night. She was 9 years old. She later remembered seeing her father that evening. He kissed her goodnight. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a big farewell. Just a normal goodnight. In the early afternoon, Elvis was found unresponsive on the bathroom floor. Emergency services were called. He was rushed to Baptist Memorial Hospital in Memphis. Attempts were made to revive him. He was pronounced dead at 42 years old. The official cause of death at first was listed as heart failure. But rumors spread quickly. An autopsy later revealed multiple prescription drugs in his system. Not illegal street drugs. Prescription medications. Painkillers. Sedatives. Other substances. The combination had overwhelmed his body. There were arguments for years about exactly what killed him. Some blamed his heart condition. Some blamed the drugs. Most agree it was a mix of long-term health problems and heavy prescription use. For Lisa Marie, none of that medical language mattered. She remembered finding him before the ambulance came. She once said she found him and tried to wake him up. That memory stayed with her for the rest of her life. She was 9. The house filled with chaos. Staff running. Phones ringing. Strangers arriving. Within hours, the news spread around the world. Fans gathered outside the gates of Graceland. People cried openly in the streets. To the public, the king had fallen. To Lisa Marie, her father was gone. The funeral drew massive crowds. His body was first buried at Forest Hill Cemetery before being moved to Graceland for security reasons. The legend began to grow even bigger after his death. But inside the family, there was shock, silence, confusion. Lisa Marie once said she felt like part of her disappeared that day, and she was left to grow up without the one person she had tried so hard to protect. After Elvis died, Graceland changed. It wasn't just a home anymore. It became a shrine. Fans left flowers, letters, teddy bears. Every year, on the anniversary of his death, thousands gathered outside the gates with candles. Lisa Marie was still a child, trying to understand grief while the world treated her father like a myth. She moved mostly into her mother Priscilla's care. Priscilla worked hard to protect her from the media storm, but there was no escaping the Presley name. At just 9 years old, Lisa Marie became the heir to Elvis's estate. Trusts were set up to manage everything until she was older. Over time, Graceland turned into a public attraction, helping stabilize finances that had once been shaky. But emotionally, Lisa Marie struggled. She has spoken about feeling angry, abandoned, confused. She loved her father deeply, but she also carried trauma from how he died. As she grew into her teenage years, she began rebelling. There were reports of substance abuse in her youth. She later admitted she battled addiction herself. The pattern felt familiar. She married young. Her first marriage was to musician Danny Keough. Later came high-profile marriages, including to Michael Jackson and Nicolas Cage. The public watched everything. But behind the headlines, she was still dealing with loss. She once said she had an understanding of grief at a very young age that most kids don't have. Losing a parent that suddenly leaves a permanent mark. In 2005, when she inherited the bulk of the estate at age 25, she took on more control. There were business decisions, financial complications, trust issues with managers over the years. She tried to build her own music career too. She released albums. She wrote songs that hinted at personal pain. Some lyrics clearly referenced her father, addiction, and family history. Then, in 2020, tragedy struck again. Her son, Benjamin Keough, died by suicide at 27 years old. That loss devastated her. People close to her said she never fully recovered from it. She had already lived with the trauma of losing her father young. Now she was facing the same kind of loss from the other side. As a parent, in interviews later in her life, she began speaking more openly about her father. Not just the icon, the man. She talked about his loneliness, his sadness, his addiction, the environment around him that enabled it. For years, she had protected his image. Now, she seemed ready to tell the truth, even if it wasn't pretty. And what she revealed would change the way many people looked at Elvis Presley forever. For most of her life, Lisa Marie Presley defended her father. If someone criticized him, she pushed back. If someone called him weak or irresponsible, she got angry. She didn't want the world reducing him to a punchline about drugs and jumpsuits. But as she got older, something shifted. She started speaking more honestly. In interviews over the years, especially later in her life, she didn't deny that her father had a serious problem with prescription drugs. She admitted he was not just tired or overworked. She said clearly that addiction was part of the story. She talked about how normal it felt inside Graceland at the time. Doctors coming in and out, bottles on counters, pills like candy. When you're a child, you think that's just how life is. She said she remembered seeing him in bad shape. She remembered being afraid. At one point, she admitted she felt protective of him, even when she was little. Like she needed to watch over him. That's not something a child should feel about a parent. She also spoke about the people around him. Without naming everyone directly, she made it clear she believed some of the adults in his circle failed him. They depended on him financially. They benefited from his success. And many of them didn't stop the cycle. She questioned why no one stepped in harder. She acknowledged that her father was responsible for his own choices. But she also said he was surrounded by an environment where saying no to him wasn't common. Lisa Marie didn't paint him as a monster. She didn't attack him. She described him as lonely. That word came up more than once. She said he had fame beyond anything normal, but very few people he truly trusted. After his mother died, something broke inside him. After her parents divorced, something shifted again. She believed he felt trapped by expectations, trapped by contracts, trapped by the image of being the king. She also talked about the night he died. She confirmed that she had seen him shortly before. She said she remembered him kissing her and telling her he loved her. She later admitted she found him and tried to wake him up. That image never left her mind. She carried guilt, even though she was just 9 years old. In her memoir, Released shortly after her death with help from her daughter, she went even deeper. She didn't hold back about addiction. Not just his, but her own. She admitted she struggled with opioids and other substances in her adult life. She connected the dots clearly. She said she understood exactly how someone could fall into it. She saw it up close as a child. She lived it herself as an adult. That honesty shocked some fans. Not because they didn't suspect it, but because she said it out loud. She didn't want people to pretend anymore. She wanted them to understand he was human, flawed, addicted, tired, loved, lonely, and she wanted the truth to be part of his story, not hidden behind gold records. In her final years, Lisa Marie seemed quieter. Losing her son in 2020 changed her in a deep way. She said grief doesn't go away, it just becomes part of you. She had already lost her father young. Now she was living with the same kind of pain as a parent. People close to her said she often talked about how history repeated itself in the Presley family. Fame, pressure, addiction, loss. She admitted she saw similarities between herself and her father. The intensity, the all-or-nothing personality, the way emotions hit hard. Financial issues also followed her later in life. There were lawsuits against former business managers, claims that money had been mismanaged. The Presley name was huge, but the reality behind it was complicated. She worked on telling her story honestly. In interviews and in her memoir, she didn't sugarcoat things. She described walking through Graceland after her father died and feeling empty. She described being a child surrounded by adults who were grieving but also scrambling to manage a global headline. She described loving her father completely, and also being hurt by what addiction did to him. One of the hardest truths she acknowledged was this: she knew he wasn't taking care of himself. She saw it, even as a little girl. She said she would argue with him sometimes, telling him not to take certain pills. Imagine that, a child telling Elvis Presley to slow down. That image says a lot. In January 2023, Lisa Marie Presley died at 54 years old after suffering cardiac arrest. The shock felt familiar. Another Presley gone too soon. After her death, the full version of her memoir was released. It made headlines because she didn't protect the myth. She told the truth as she saw it. She didn't say her father was evil. She didn't say he didn't love her. She said he was struggling. She said addiction is powerful. She said loneliness can exist even in a mansion filled with people. The world still sees Elvis Presley as the king. The voice still plays. The image still sells. Graceland is still filled with tourists every day. But through Lisa Marie's words, another picture stands beside the legend. A young boy from Tupelo who never felt fully secure. A man who lost his mother and never recovered. A father who loved his daughter but couldn't beat his own demons. And a daughter who carried that truth quietly for years, until she decided it was time to say it out loud.